Welcome to the main event right here on the Inside Edge Podcasting Network. I am Rob Rozycki. To my left, we do have Eli Moon. How are we doing today, sir?
I am great, my friend. I am great. You probably expect me to get on this show and say that I'm doing terrible, Rob, because the Browns just can't get it done. But you know what? I'm going to just keep reminding myself, progress.
Yeah, I am waiting for the point in time of the Browns season where everyone's going to realize that they can go out and be a human on Sunday afternoons and do yard work or maybe run some errands, spend time with loved ones. You know, something that healthy adults typically do as opposed to sit in front of a football game for, 8-10 hours. So, yeah, because, if you want to get right into it right now, we can get into this Browns game. Or as by the shirt that I'm wearing right now, I was looking at it as a Steelers game.
Yeah.
Steelers win 23-9 over the Cleveland Browns. The Browns now drop to 1-5 in the 2025 campaign. Pittsburgh moves to 4-1. They are unequivocally the number one team in the AFC North as we speak. Right now, I think both teams are dealing with the good and bad fallout of this game. And for the Browns, there's a lot of fallout to deal with, and I think it's going to start with the offense.
Yeah, I mean, it really is, Rob. And at the end of the day, we continue to talk about this guy, and I'm sick of talking about a guy that makes, almost $18 million per year. But Jerry Jeudy, 5 of 13 again. Not again, but it's just, whatever. You throw whatever at him, he's going to drop it. 5 of 13, 43 receiving yards. Just not going to get it done, man. And then you look at across the board, Njoku, 3 of 6, Larvadane making some action, 2 of 4. Guys that you're throwing the ball to, even Fannin, who had a good game. And I'm not going to hate on Harold Fannin, but guys got to catch the football. Even 3 drops from him, 3 missed opportunities for him. So I will say that is the only highlight of the Browns offense today. And usually I'm talking about Quinshon Judkins. He was stifled by a very good Steelers defense. We'll talk about them in a little bit. It's at the end of the day, Judkins didn't have a good game. He's still a highlight for this team, but I think Fannin was a bright spot. Like I said, you got to catch the football. So whenever I see multiple drops, it just gives me Jerry Jeudy syndrome. But I think Fannin was good. The Browns offense, just a work in progress, man.
Well, and I think that's what everyone's kind of worried about. Is it a work in progress, or is this just the same old story, same old song and dance, my friends? I think it's December 3rd now was the last time the Browns actually scored 20 points in a game. The Steelers cracked, I believe it. With the final score, it was they cracked 23 points at the beginning of the fourth quarter. And you just knew that the Browns had really no firepower, no bullets in the chamber really to compete with a pretty anemic Steelers offense when you get down to it. Aaron Rodgers had a pretty decent day. Darnell Washington, I think, became a folk hero in Pittsburgh with 3 grabs and 62 yards. He's the big 300-pound tight end that was lumbering around the field today. But the Steelers' offense really did not look all that great. They did enough to win, obviously. Aaron Rodgers had a couple of touchdown passes. Where the Steelers' offense did enough to win, the Browns clearly did not. When you allow 23 points in the NFL, that is still a very winnable game. And the fact that the offense really did not look good out of really, a 2-minute drill at the end of the first half. Dylan Gabriel did show a lot of promise there. The offense was moving. But other than that, there really wasn't much. You mentioned the drops of Jerry Jeudy. You can't have that out of your veteran receiver. As you said, you can't have that out of your highest paid receiver. And then you're also feeding him a team-high 13 targets. The majority of the passing game was going through him. And then, obviously Harold Fannin had a great day. Looks like he's going to be a diamond in the rough. But, I think it was the dropsies with the Browns receiving core, including David Njoku. He had a couple of miscues. But I also think it was that combined with a Steelers defense that was hitting people hard in the middle. They had a big unnecessary roughness call, I believe, in the fourth quarter, kind of quieted the stadium for a half a second over what I believe the receiver was Gage Lavardane, I think, was the one that get up pretty good.
Yep.
And it was Jalen Ramsey doing it. And I think you saw that kind of little flip with the receivers looking across the middle to see if that safety was there. That cost him a couple of drops. The Steelers defense did their job, and the Browns offense did not. So that's how you get 9 points. You get 3 field goals. They got to do better. And it's odd to say that about an offense and not throw the quarterback under the bus. For the second straight week, Dillon Gabriel did not turn the ball over. It did not look like the game was too big for him, but the offense just was not functioning. And if you want to blame the quarterback, you want to blame the receivers, or I know it's kind of taboo in Cleveland because it seems like Kevin Stefanski has the longest leash that has ever been leashed. But do you blame the play calling in the offense and the head coach?
No, you can't. You can't. You cannot blame Stefanski. And I know our great friend AA Anthony Alford, who is taking a vacation day. He works very hard here for the Inside Edge Network, and he's taking his vacation day. And you know what? Picked a great day on the day that the Browns get smoked by the Steelers. Here's the thing, Rob. At the end of the day, you cannot blame Stefanski because the roster didn't change from last week to this week. It didn't change from 2 weeks ago to this week. We know what we're working with. And unfortunately, Stefanski can only do what he can do. Here's the reality of the situation. We haven't had a proven wide receiver one that changes the culture of the offense since Jarvis Landry. We haven't had a proven offensive lineman who anchors the line down since the days of Alex Mack and Joe Thomas. And yes, the line's been good here and there, but Conklin, who we've brought in, Jack Conklin, he's supposed to be the all-pro guy. He's hurt almost every single season.
He left with an injury today. Yeah,
I know.
In the medical tent.
And it's
the Browns have had 12 combinations of offensive line this year in 6 games. So, yeah, there's been a lot of overhaul. There's been a lot of mixing and matching and patchwork on that offensive line for sure.
Yeah, and it's frustrating, so I can't get mad at Kevin Stefanski. Can I get frustrated that we're not winning football games? Yes. We're not in Little League. We want to win the football game, man. But at the end, at the end of the day, we got to look at it like this. We are finding out who to move forward with this team. And as hard as that is, this is like the aftermath, hopefully, of Deshaun Watson trade and all that, and moving forward. Would I take Jerry Jeudy and some of these guys that aren't catching the football with me next season? No. But I think it's good to find out now. So when you have whoever the quarterback of the future is, whether it's Dillon Gabriel, yes, he has not looked bad. I mean, 29 of 52, 221 passing yards, no picks, no tutties. It could be him. It could be Shador, I hope, or whoever. But at the end of the day, we're finding out who it is that's going to be able to, we're going to take with us to that next route.
And I concur with you, and I believe Kevin Stefanski should also be evaluated in that process. This play calling, they don't like to go down the field. Dillon Gabriel, the one thing they did say about him coming out of college was lots of starts and a big arm. We really haven't seen it. Now, I understand if everybody's dropping everything, you really can't go down the field all that well. But it seems like since this December 3rd, 32-point explosion, I believe it was against Houston. I forget what team it was. It's been so long. It's been constant checkdowns. It's been dink and dunk passes. It's been questionable clock management at the end of quarters and games. I think Kevin Stefanski is deserving to have some sort of critical eye at him because you talk about him not getting what he wants. He's been the one constant throughout this whole mess now the last couple of years. It's been different quarterbacks. It's been different offensive lines. It's been different receivers. And it seems like the one constant is the play calling, and the offense still isn't doing anything. And I think Kevin Stefanski needs to be looked at. And I'm not saying fire the guy right now. You go on X right now and you see 1 billion Browns fans wishing to fire Kevin Stefanski. No. That's not going to do anything for the team this season. I don't know what Jim Schwartz would be able to do that Kevin Stefanski wouldn't be able to do with the current roster in play. But you're right, though, with a bad quarterback room, bad receiver room, you got to figure out what guys you're going to be taking with you all the way into next year, the year after, because Myles Garrett is not going to have too many more of these years left. He's not going to be the number 1, number 2 defensive player in the league for too much longer. He's going to become the Von Miller and situational guy pretty soon. So they got to figure this out, and the window's going to be open for only a few more years.
Yeah, I mean, but here's at the end of the day, and it makes you like think about it. It's like, and don't get me wrong, I love having Myles Garrett in Cleveland. Like, he is awesome. But dang, it's like I almost like think like could a trade like that, should a trade like that have made sense for the Browns to do? And it's like because they could have got multiple firsts out of it probably for Myles Garrett, and they could have really rehauled this rebuild process. Now, hindsight is 2020. Myles Garrett inked the contract. I love him that he's here. I'm happy, but one does think like, could that have been like the offseason jump? The Browns land another first this year. They had 3 firsts to play with.
Well, not for nothing. I forgot Myles Garrett was playing in this game until about halfway through the fourth quarter when he made a tackle at the line of scrimmage. He disappeared this game.
Right.
And as much as Brown fans don't want to hear it, he was not the best defensive player on the field today. You had T.J. Watt showing what a defensive player of the year looks like in a game like that. So Myles, I would say, yeah, if you would go back in that time machine, I was even saying in that offseason. Myles Garrett, he's getting close to 30. Denzel Ward, same kind of age range. And at that point in time, you were looking, do you really think the team's going to be any good in 2 or 3 years when these guys are 31, 32 years old?
Right.
So, move away from these dudes, David Njoku being one of them, assuming his head is still knocked on straight. I know the Steelers secondary had fun with him today. But, do you look at just the straight up rebuild on this and go – from the ground up again, or do you try to do what they have been doing and patchworking and trying to do a mid-air refuel with this team and see if you can get a couple more years out of this core?
Well, I know they're looking to potentially, Adam Schefter reported that they're looking to potentially move off of some guys like Bitonio, Teller, looking at the deadline. Some of these guys that have been around, Polchik, the center, just looking to move some of these guys, at least fielding some offers on them. And here's the crazy thing, though, Rob, because I'm not going to go there. We're 6 games into the season. I'm not talking draft talk. I'm not talking about what the Browns could have done with a first or second extra first rounder in the next few years. I want to talk to you about something that me and you might have in common here come January, and that's playoffs. Because here's the thing. Hear me out. Browns are 1-5, right? I know.
Yeah.
But have you seen their schedule lately? Look, I know we live in a world of dysfunction as Cleveland Browns fan. Well, I live in a world of dysfunction as a Cleveland Browns fan. But here's the thing. They welcome Miami into town next week. No Tyreek Hill. The offense, the only consistent thing on that offense is Darren Waller. And for those putting anytime touchdown parlays,
can move the ball too. He had a big run today. He can scoot. He's a nice little back.
That's fair. Look, maybe that was my anytime touchdown parlays talking. Waller's been a lock, but neither here nor there.
Actually, I haven't fantasy. I do understand that. Yeah,
he's been on fire. But the team itself is dysfunction right now. Mike McDaniel does not look like the same Mike McDaniel that came there. Dysfunction. That's a winnable game. New England, I know they're the talk of potentially winning the East, and they just beat Buffalo. That is a winnable game. Okay? Maybe I'm stretching it a little bit there, but New York Jets in New York, that's a win. I will stamp it right here. November 9th, that's a win. And then Baltimore, the way they are dysfunction right now, I mean, they scored 3 points today against the Rams. That's a win. And then we talk Raiders. I think that's a win too. I think they could win 4 of their next 5. Maybe 5 of their next 5. And then we're looking at a team either right below 500 or above 500.
You're talking about a team that right now, I believe if the season were to end, they would have a top 4 draft pick in the NFL.
Correct.
Okay. I'll give you the Jets. The Jets are a train wreck right now. I think Aaron Glenn is watching this Sunday night game with the Lions and Chiefs and just lamenting better days.
Yeah.
Not only he's not the first Jets coach to go 0-5, he's the first Jets coach to go 0-4. So he is definitely blazing a trail for anybody who's going to come after him. The Ravens, I don't know if I'll even give you that one because Lamar's hurt right now. We'll see if he's going to be hurt in a couple of weeks. They got a bye week coming up. He's going to get some rest. He hasn't played in a couple of weeks, so he could be back on the field. And quite honestly, I know the Baltimore defense is Swiss cheese at this point, along with Miami's, along with New York's. But I will give Baltimore the edge with Lamar Jackson. But quite honestly, where I'm at with this team, they haven't given me a reason to believe they're going to make a run here. They got to score 20 points first. They got to be a functioning offense before we're talking about winning 4 out of 5 or 5 out of 5.
But the thing is, Rob, and I completely hear you, against good AFC teams, no shot right now. But my point, my reasoning here is the Browns could be back in the wild card hunt. And you know how crazy this city gets about playoff, just the idea of playoff football. That will buy everybody back in. Everybody that's like right now, like I can't, get rid of Stefanski. These will be the same people calling for him to win Coach of the Year again. If they are 6-5 in a hypothetical world, they win the next 5. They are all.
They got to score 20 points first, man.
But they're all winnable. They're all winnable. And the thing is, that the other teams they're playing are dysfunctional. They're dysfunctional, just like the Browns. It's a battle of who can have their head on straight better that day.
Oh, I understand they're all. Well, I don't think New England's dysfunctional anymore. I think I wouldn't call them dysfunctional right now. I think Mike Vrabel.
Fine, I'll give you that one.
They're up and coming. I wouldn't call them a Super Bowl contender, but they're not dysfunctional. This is not Bill Belichick in the later stages. More on that later in the show, by the way. This is not Bob Kraft, trying to take all the credit for the dynasties. This is not Tom Brady running away screaming from the Patriot way. Miami, I'll give you, they're dysfunctional. I wouldn't even say Baltimore's dysfunctional. They're hurt, and maybe they have a coach that whose message is getting a little tired. But they're not dysfunctional. Miami, oh yeah, absolutely. But the Jets dysfunctional also. But the Browns, they got to do something to take advantage of this. When you're talking about those 5 games, most of the teams in the league, I would agree with you. You can make a good run in there. You can make a decent run. But the thing is that the Jets, the Dolphins, the Ravens, everybody they're going to be playing over the next few weeks, they're going to be looking at the Browns the same way you're looking at everybody else. They're going to be looking at the Browns as a get-right game.
I get that.
The Browns are going to have to do something to kind of prove that to me. But if they do, the talent will kind of get behind whoever's at quarterback. It could be Dylan Gabriel. It could be Shedeur Sanders. It could be Bernie Kosar, for all we know. But at this rate, I just don't see it happening. It's just...
I just think, look, I get the Ravens talk. That's the only one I can, besides New England, that I can hear you on. But this Ravens team right now, I'm telling you, especially with all the stuff they pulled this year by doing the celebration of the Ravens anniversary and all that stuff, waiting for week 2 against the Browns. I'm telling you, I don't know. Maybe I'm just fired up because I have not seen an easier stretch than this. And if they, I will say this, you want to see pure hope taken out of a Browns fan week by week on main event, just watch the show. Because if they do somehow manage to win like one of these next 5, then maybe I'm on the same boat with you as okay, what's going on, Kevin Stefanski? Because the Jets are a winnable game. We've gone over the teams. At the end of the day, I look at these things too. Guys like Judkins aren't going to have goose eggs. Not that he didn't get any rushing yards, but it was a dud. He's not going to have that against the Jets and the Raiders and these other teams. So I think that's something to look forward to. I think the running game will be a lot better against these teams that aren't as fierce as one of the better AFC teams right now. And then you're looking at a chance where maybe Gabriel is learning. I mean, granted, he hasn't thrown really anything worth a dang besides a bunch of passes, but maybe
he also hasn't thrown an interception yet either.
Right.
He hasn't lost a game for the Browns, but he also hasn't won a game, obviously, for the Browns either.
Right. Now, let me ask you this, Rob, because we can sit here and talk about my Cleveland Browns all day, every day, okay? Let me ask you this, because I got to watch your Pittsburgh Steelers, who I remember before the season started, Rozycki, you sat there and you go, oh, Aaron Rodgers is going to blow the team. He's going to blow it up just like he does. He's going to probably fire the coach. Da, 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 da. And Aaron Rodgers, another solid game. I mean, granted, against the Browns. But how are we feeling? It pains me to ask about the Steelers, but how are we feeling about the Steelers right now in the shape of this AFC?
Well, right now, the Steelers, I don't know if I can judge the defense by today's effort because, again, we've been talking about how offensively challenged the Browns are. But they have been giving up some points at a very un-Steeler-esque clip, even though they've managed to go 4-1. The takeaways have started. I know today Dylan Gabriel was pretty stingy, but the previous 2 games, I think it was 5 takeaways in the last 8 quarters of football before the Browns. So it looks like that's coming around. TJ Watt, everybody's kind of doing what they're doing. They got a very veteran defense, so I'm not shocked it's taken a couple of weeks to kind of get everything to ferment and get everything to kind of combine. The offense is what I'm going to be looking at too with the Steelers. We saw today what happens when they're missing a receiver. Taven Austin, their number 2 receiver, was out. And to start the game, DK Metcalf was the only receiver on the Steelers roster that had more than 1 reception this season. So it was going to be DK Metcalf and a lot of other unconventional pieces. Mentioned Darnell Washington to start the game out. The big chunker tight end that they do have. He's basically a dump truck. You got Fairmouth in there. You got Jonnu Smith had a nice little game today. If they can get those tight ends going and DK a couple of big plays here and there, the offense might be good enough anyway to compete with some of these teams. And you mentioned the AFC, and this is why I can really never say never with your Browns prognostication here, threading that needle of 4 or 5 games. There's really, at least when you start talking about the conventional powers in the AFC, they're not around right now. They're not chilling out. If the season ended right now, the Chiefs aren't in the playoffs, the Ravens aren't in the playoffs, the Texans aren't in the playoffs, and the Colts and Patriots are. The Colts are actually the number 1 seed. Jacksonville also in the playoffs. So this is a topsy-turvy AFC. There's really only 3 one-win teams right now. Steelers, Bills, and the Colts. I guess the Bills are the only usual suspect up there with Josh Allen. But right now, where we might have, had this holy trinity of AFC quarterbacks in Mahomes and Allen and in Lamar Jackson, the Ravens look to be a non-factor this year. The Chiefs are still trying to figure it out right now. They're losing at halftime against Detroit. So the Steelers have just as good of a chance as anybody against these top teams. I'm not saying the Steelers are great, but the Colts, the Bills, the Chargers, the Jaguars, New England, they're all beatable. Denver, they're all beatable. I mean, Denver barely beat the Jets today. So, this whole AFC and probably the whole NFL itself is wide open. So right now, the Steelers have done everything they need to do to be sitting in a good position after the first quarter of the season. So where they stack up in the AFC right now, I'm not sure on the hierarchy. I'd say, top 2 or 3 teams, but they're in a good spot right now.
And I think that's the thing. I was thinking about it before the show today. It's like you talked about some of those teams. Colts, identity, hand the ball to Jonathan Taylor and Daniel Jones. Don't lose the game. Just make the first read, and if it's not there, get rid of the ball. They know what they're doing there. Indy's got a tough defense too for the most part. But it's Jonathan Taylor. You look at, the Chargers, even though I get it, they're not necessarily I wouldn't put them above the Steelers, if you want my honest opinion, but they are a passing attack. They are a pure passing attack. And they're finally utilizing Justin Herbert. That's why they're succeeding. You look at the Chiefs. I think for the first time, this is the identity is Mahomes, Superman. That's what they're hoping on. I guess I'm trying to determine when it comes to the Steelers, what is their identity? Because in the past it was a steel curtain with the defense. Before this, we were talking before the season about is Aaron Rodgers going to turn back the clock? And yes, the defense has put some good work in, but they're also going to have a longer season coming up here. You're getting into the middle chunk of the season. What is the identity? Is it going to be Aaron Rodgers winning football games, or is it going to be the Steelers defense coming up big?
I think right now it's a little bit of both. I think, and that's kind of where this team's been at, is they have won games multiple ways. I think Aaron Rodgers is good enough to steal a game for you in the final 2 minutes, 5 minutes of the game with a good comeback drive. But right now, offensively, I think that's a valid question of where the identity is at. If today was any sort of implication for the rest of the season, I like them going through those 3 tight ends they have. I mean, between Fairmouth Smith and the big man Washington, it looks like they got 3 targets there that are reasonably uncovered. You got to admit, you're watching Washington catch the ball. If he gets the ball,
I'm not tackling him.
Much the defense can do.
I'm not.
I mean, it's 5 guys jumping on him right now and trying to just fall, make them fall over. So,
right.
If you're going to go with that, I liked what they were doing on the running side of things too today. I think they had about 85 yards on the ground. It didn't seem like much, but when they needed to move the ball, they were moving with Warren pretty steadily throughout the game. So I think it's going to be kind of what the Browns' offensive identity is. It's weird. It's going to be a lot of running the ball, and it's going to be a lot of controlling of the clock. And, fortunately for the Steelers, you got a Hall of Fame quarterback that can make a throw or two when you still need to. So that's probably going to be where they're at. But if this defense is going to be playing like it has been the last few weeks, they can kind of lean on the turnover machine. They can lean on, again, you look on that defensive side of the ball, Jalen Ramsey, you got Alex Highsmith, TJ Watt, you got Darius Slay. He's going to be going to the Hall of Fame too. You got a lot of talent over there. Jabril Peppers, who I completely forgot about until I saw him running around today. They got some talent there, and I think they're ready to lean on that defense. If they can, we'll see. But I think it's going to be defensive first, ball control, and running the ball.
And then my follow-up to that, right now, vibe check. Pittsburgh going on the road, AFC Championship game in snowy Buffalo or Kansas City. Barring, and I get it, the Chiefs I get it. They're in a duke-out battle right now against Detroit, but I'm still, they're the AFC champs, so they aren't. So you go to Buffalo or Kansas City right now, on the road, AFC Championship game. You taking Pittsburgh?
Right now, I would say between those two, I don't know who I would give it a coin flip. I would say 50-50 right now. I'd say it's an even money game right now. If it's a neutral site, even money game. If it's in one of those 2 stadiums, probably a couple of points to the home team. But right now, and again, it's not really a commentary on what the Steelers are doing. I'm not saying they're the reincarnation of the Super Bowl 43 team or the old Steel Curtain back in the 70s. It's just right now, every team looks fallible. Every team right now has problems. You mentioned, the LA Chargers. They just lost 2 in a row before they barely, who are they even facing today? They barely beat the Dolphins.
Yeah.
They get rung up by, the Giants in MetLife, and they get rung up by the Washington team.
Yeah.
So even they don't look all that great, so these teams are wishy-washy. And the teams, by the way, too, that, if you look at the Colts at 5-1, yeah, they've looked pretty good, but you can kind of have the same uncertainty about that offense as you do about the Steelers. Danny Dimes was not playing all that well 3 months ago. So, they're kind of in that category of you got to do it to prove it here. So that's kind of what I'm thinking right now, is that you have these top, maybe 7-8 teams right now in the AFC that truly on any given Sunday could beat anybody else.
I'm just saying, we could be, in a month from now, we could be talking about the Cleveland Browns in there. Just saying.
We'll put a pin in that one. We'll see if that's going to happen. Because, again,
look,
they
man,
got to actually, win games. Yes, score 20 points. And the thing is, too, is the way you're looking at it, that 5 games, if everything works out the way you think it is, they're in playoff contention.
Yes.
If everything goes the other way, you're looking for a new head coach. Because if you
I agree.
A Miami team that isn't playing all that well, that is dysfunctional as shit, and you lose to that team badly, you lose to Baltimore badly, there's going to be some ramifications happening. And I don't know if it's going to be Andrew Berry. I don't know if it's going to be Kevin Stefanski, or I don't know if it's going to be both of them, but we shall see. But yeah, this is the well, we could keep this football talking going for a sec, for a little bit while longer if we wanted to, but we'll take a quick break here. I am Rob Rozycki. This is Eli Moon, main event here on the Inside Edge Podcasting Network. No Anthony Alford. He is in parts unknown right now. I think he's wandering the earth like Kung Fu. But we will get an update on, I don't know if anybody low-jacked him or whatever. We'll see what's going on. But we'll come back. We'll talk a little Major League Baseball playoffs. Game 1 of the ALCS is in full swing, at least as we're recording this, as we're talking to you right now. We'll get into the 2 series being played right now and the series that concluded throughout the week, because we had Detroit and Philadelphia compete for the most heartbreaking loss in the playoffs this year, and I don't know which one was worse. We'll get into it, that, and go over the news stories of the day and so much more. What we've learned. This is the main event here on the Inside Edge Podcasting Network. I am Rob Rozycki. That one there is Eli Moon. We'll be right back.
fantasy lingo.
The Inside Edge Podcasting Network. I am Rob Rozycki. We have Eli Moon now on the far side of the whole thing. And in the middle, we have Are you in witness protection, sir?
This is what you get with the main event. What's up, Double A? Double A?
Yo, I got you guys. You guys got me?
There you go. Okay. See, the first thing I will say is that as of April 4th, 2003, it became illegal to operate a motor vehicle while operating a handheld texting or mobile device in the state of Ohio. Double A, I have a feeling I don't even see you, dude. I have a feeling you're behind the wheel of an automobile, sir.
We are moving. We are, heading back to the east side. You are not going to see me because it would be completely illegal to have my lights on while driving.
Bro, it's completely illegal. Actually, it is not illegal to have a dome light on. That was a lie that our parents told us when we were all 6 years old to scare the shit out of us. However, again, according as of April 4th, 2023, it is a primary offense in Ohio, which means we might see your face illuminated by red and blue lights if you.
Wouldn't that be some shit? Wouldn't that be some shit?
Well,
that'd be
depending
like
on what neighborhood you're in, we could be starting a whole new show.
That'd be like.
Well,
go ahead, Double A. Go ahead.
I was gonna. Well, if you want some extra viewers for a live broadcast for a startup project, I mean, this would be right up the alley. But the phone is very low, so there you go. And for all intents and purposes, because you can't see me anyway, the phone is staring at the ceiling for as much as you guys know. And I'm just talking in the air, and I'm just listening to Bluetooth. With you guys are on the other side, and I can pick it up.
So let's go over this here. You were 35 minutes late to air. You missed the entire first segment. We completely went through the Browns and the Steelers and the AFC picture and all this other happy stuff. So you're late. You're also having, and I don't want to judge you, sir, but horrible audio and horrible video. So we're both here. That's 2 strikes. And also the horrible audio and video is, we'll just say, breaking the law. And from what I gather of your professional experience, you do not serve in the White House, so breaking the law does matter. So have I got that right?
Double A.
Yes, sir.
On a lighter note, we didn't get to ask you at the beginning of the show. How was your Sunday?
Oh, the Sunday was fantastic. The Sunday was great. My friend, their son, they were baptized today.
Okay.
That's
awesome.
Phenomenal ceremony. I've never attended a baptism before. So they did a mass, and then after the mass was their baptism. So that turned out really well.
Yeah, the Catholics are not time officials. I'll just let you know that. Yeah, they are not.
Yeah,
they are not.
Yeah.
No. It's definitely from an era where they didn't have to worry about what was on cable.
Exactly. No, it was a great turnout overall. And then our friends rented out a room at a undisclosed location because they're not sponsored, so I don't need to mention it. Undisclosed, good location for lunch or dinner. And the Browns game was on the TV. And what I saw from said Browns game was, as you guys, I'm sure, covered already, pretty disgusting.
No, actually, we liked it. We thought we were very happy with what the team did. We thought the offense made a tremendous leap from previous weeks, scoring the 9 points and not getting into the end zone. And we just thought it was a quality effort from Kevin Stefanski, and we actually started his Coach of the Year candidacy about 25 minutes ago. Yeah,
Double A.
It sucked.
Double A. Me and Rob had a very serious discussion in the first segment, and I described that it's progress for the Browns, and it's not a W yet. But
Okay.
I don't know if you've looked at the next 5 games on the Browns schedule, AA. They're all winnable.
Well, and that's the thing. So, emotionally, and probably it was a smart thing for me not to come on the air immediately because with all the stuff I had, yeah. So, Eli, I thought about what you said all week long. Okay, finally, Kevin Stefanski has his guy, right? Dylan Gabriel. Right. After 20,000 quarterbacks, Stefanski finally has his guy. I thought about that, for the last week. And I've always, even with this game, I've had that thought in the back of my mind that, okay, this is going to be a work in progress. He finally has what he wants. And I'm going to actually pull into a parking spot right now so I can legally do this. I'm at the steel yard.
You're at steel yards. Okay, so yeah, keep the camera on. We might get some other viral material.
Oh yeah, you're gonna get some footage
happening there.
Oh, you're gonna get some footage. Hold up.
Main event on the road officially. This is crazy.
So my plan is when we take our commercial, which I know is like 8 minutes long, I will probably make it back to Maple Heights or I'm parked now, so you can see me.
Okay.
I'll finally make it back to Bedford during our commercial, and we'll be set. I'll say this, Eli, I thought about what you said throughout the week, which is Dylan Gabriel is finally Kevin Stefanski's guy. And you're right about the schedule. The schedule is very favorable. If you look at, 5 of the struggling teams in the AFC, like teams with like 1 win or maybe 2 wins. I think there's 5 or 6 teams on that list. The Browns face all of them.
Right.
So there is an opportunity. I just don't know if Kevin Stefanski will get that opportunity because right now, the product we saw today is unwatchable. And I think that might cost not just Kevin Stefanski, but Andrew Berry their jobs. Maybe tomorrow, to be perfectly honest.
I don't think.
Yeah, but no,
I don't
because.
think.
Go ahead, Rob.
Why would they get fired? I mean, I don't know what that would do right now for the team besides make fans feel slightly better. What does a Jim Schwartz-led Browns team look like? Because I would believe that's who it would be to take over as interim dude. And I don't see Barry getting fired until maybe a couple of weeks left of the season because you still need somebody there to actually run the team, put guys on IR, sign, undrafted dudes, and actually just do the nuts and bolts crap. But I don't see that happening. And then also, what about Stefan? What about anything with Haslam or anything along that line has made you think that they are close to getting fired? I just don't see that happening. But to your point, to both of this shot in the dark prayer, get a damn Ouija board and a set of rosary beads and a lucky rabbit's foot, winning 4 out of 5. Yes, they do play some of the worst teams in the AFC. The only team really in there that's worth a damn at this point is New England, and that's a surprise. We'll see how long that goes. But the problem is, along with Miami, along with the Jets, along with Baltimore, along with Las Vegas, I think Geno Smith threw an interception in the last 10 minutes or so. I think it's kind of like an NFL balance thing. Baker Mayfield throws a tutty, Geno throws an interception, and all is right with the world. But yeah, and then even Tennessee on that list. San Francisco's banged up. Chicago, if you want to get all the way into December. I mean, these are teams that are open. The entire league is, I think, wishy-washy. But the whole thing, though, is that if you're talking about the dregs of the NFL, the Browns are also one of those teams. Dolphin fans are looking at the Browns saying that's a winnable game. The Jets are saying, hey, we might be able to get off the 0 for Schneid against the Browns. This is not a good team that's been playing down that we can kind of hope that will just kind of blossom. This is a crap team, and they'll be lucky, I think, in that 5-game, 6-game stretch to go 500.
I think though, and here's the problem. You and Eli are both talking logic, and
Yeah.
I can't say.
No, well,
neither of you
Moon's
are
saying they have a
incorrect.
chance to be playoff contenders in 5 weeks. I don't know if we're both using logic.
But have you seen the schedule? Is all I'm saying.
I get it. I get the schedule. And I get it.
Double A, let me run these by you. Because we didn't
Go
get a
ahead.
chance.
Do you have the schedule?
Oh, I do. Because
Go
this
ahead.
is my at home against Miami.
Yeah.
That's a win.
You could do something there.
On the road against New England. That's a toughie, but that's a win.
New
At
England's
New
a
York.
tough one.
Right.
New England's a tough one. Let's say Miami, you have a shot. Let's say
What has New England
maybe
done? And what has Cleveland done to make
Drake
you
May's the
think
real deal.
that New
Drake
England is a win?
Drake May outperformed Josh Allen last week.
You're arguing
Patriots-
my point.
Go ahead, read the rest of the schedule. Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. All right. So then the Rozycki. The Browns play the Jets. Then they play at home against the Ravens. And I told Rozycki, against this Ravens team, the Browns win. With everything that the Ravens did.
Showing.
And with everything the Ravens did this year, they made it personal by doing their anniversary celebration purposely week 2 against the Browns. This Ravens team loses against the Browns. I'll bet money on it. I'm not a betting man typically. I will bet money on this.
This Ravens team with Cooper Rush, I give you a little bit of consolation here because they haven't been able to move the ball. This team with Lamar Jackson in a month, I know he's hurt right now. He's been week to week for a couple of weeks. I would think he'd be back going by, say the middle of November, and everything would be ready to go. I don't know about that one. The Browns were the only team that the Baltimore really lit up like a Christmas tree this year. That was kind of the get right game and made everybody think week 1 was an anomaly. But I understand the defense is Swiss cheese. I understand the defense has already given up more points in like 4 or 5 weeks than the entire Super Bowl 01 defense did back in the day.
Yeah.
I understand that. But Lamar Jackson is fully capable of destroying the Browns all by his lonesome.
What date is the Ravens game?
November 16th.
Or what week?
Yep, November
16th.
November 16th
Lamar
at
should be
4:25. Yeah.
Yeah, Lamar should be back.
That's your 4 o'clock game, by the way, everybody.
Why? Why?
So, but
go ahead. Read a couple other. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, after that, it gets a little tougher. We get the Raiders, and then after that, it gets tough for a moment. You get the 49ers. That's a loss. I'm not even going to sit here and try to argue for the Browns.
Right.
Then Titans. That's a win.
We'll see with the Niners because they might be on their 5th or 6th quarterback in a month and a half, the way that they're kind of playing out there. Kyle Shanahan likes to have high impact ball out there.
I'll still take the Niners.
I'll still pick the Niners to win.
Yep. And I agree with Double A because we talked about it before. Kyle Shanahan has a winning culture. It don't matter who's out there. He could have, anybody out there, and he'd probably find a way to make the game close at least. So then they play the Bears. Then I think the rest of the season's a loss, Double A. Bills, Steelers, Bengals.
So here's what
that might be a Bengals team with Joe Burrow by then too. Remember that.
Right. That's what I'm saying. I think 3 losses to end the year. I think they lose every division rival.
So here's what I'm saying, and this is tough, but it's not tough. Logically, I understand what the both of you are saying. If you said coming into this season, the Browns will be 1-5 after these first 6 games, which is a tough stretch, and you would be right? They're 1-5 after these first 6 games, and you can say a ton of things about how this offense has been lackluster, things like that. They're just overmatched. You can say that. The problem that the organization is going to face, and they're facing right now, and I can even tell you from even the function I was at today and other things, because they're unwatchable, people are not tuning in. And we talked last week about how the Browns, they want to be the top of mind of everybody in Cleveland sports every single time. And they have been very patient. They have been very patient with Kevin Stefanski and Andrew Berry. And I don't think this is going to stand. I just don't. There's so much history attached to the Browns-Steelers rivalry that the product that you saw today is consistent with what you have seen throughout the year. And I'm not even angry anymore. It's just, to me, if we're not doing the Inside Edge Network and we're not doing the show, we're not doing whatever, I would have no problem skipping some of these games. And that's me saying that as a Browns fan, because I don't sense any changes actually occurring. And it's boring. It's not even a watchable product. It's boring.
It was a boring game today from both ends. Today was a very boring game. I will give you that.
I'm watching from both sides. I'm like, A, I know Pittsburgh's going to win the game. B, I know no matter if Pittsburgh struggles in any way, shape, or form, and Pittsburgh's offense did not look overly sharp, even though DK Metcalf had a great game. It did not look overly sharp, but it didn't matter. It didn't matter. We had no answer. And for me as a fan, I know that there's no answer. I'm not even upset anymore. It's those games that seem winnable later on, to me, they don't. Because I don't sense an offense that could even compete at an NFL level.
They haven't scored 20 points.
Strong enough to hold it up.
They haven't scored more than 20 points since December 2nd of last year. Like, this is incredibly ineffective when it comes down to just any pro offense. And I said it to Moon, when the Browns, when the Steelers cracked 20 points in the top of the fourth quarter, I knew the game was done. Because did you see the Browns scoring 21, 22, 25 points? No. And everyone kind of knows that. And it seems like this offense has just completely lost its mojo. I mean, remember, Jerry Jeudy was the guy that, when Jameis was here, he was looking like Josh Gordon for a split second. He had that 200 and whatever yard game.
Yeah.
So, but it's there.
Yeah.
But I think it's, the soul has left. The confidence has left. The swagger has left. Because I don't think they have an identity or direction or really a roadmap. Because the other thing too is if you're looking at this offense and you're looking at the long-term thing throughout this year, and we've been making a big thing about the quarterback. If you're Dylan Gabriel, Shedeur Sanders, and anybody who is following those guys into battle, they hear what we're talking about. They hear what's on ESPN. They know that, on some level, they're expected to be here as a placeholder and nothing more. So the psychology in this whole thing is screwy, completely messed up. And you can kind of blame the way the Browns have handled the quarterback position since the day they traded Baker Mayfield until now. This is that whole timeline is why we're here. Disagree with it, don't disagree with it. Like Baker, don't like Baker, but this is when the whole thing went off the edge of the cliff. And they don't have any sort of clear, concise direction. And if you're this offense, you're like, okay, if we do any good, all right, fine, we'll get a new quarterback next year and be kind of where we're at right now. So
I just think, I told you this.
I just wonder what the they're doing.
Rob, I told you this in the first segment, and AA. I just said at the end of the day, the Browns are figuring out who they need to go on the next part of their journey with. Rob said, we need to look at Stefanski. I said, now if they go 1-4, 0-5 in this next stretch that I just read off to you, I'm with you. I'm 1,000% with you. You got to give him.
I might even go to say this, and I hate to always kind of put it down to one thing or another, one moment or one game, but you are facing a Dolphins offense or defense rather next week that is historically bad. They knew they were going to be bad before the season started. They are horrible right now. I have used that in fantasy football to my advantage. You put as many Chargers in today and you get points.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I did. And so that being said, and I'm not saying must win, I'm not saying you need to dominate these guys. But if this offense doesn't look competent, if this offense doesn't look functional, if we are talking about this on the 19th of October next week about still not scoring 20 points, then we might need to look at what's going on in that head coach's office, and we might need to think about a change. Again, I don't know what that's going to do. I don't know what Jim Schwartz is going to accomplish that Kevin Stefanski didn't, but you got to make – and it's not even from a change standpoint. I know I said it earlier, like I don't know if he's going to get fired or not, but it might not even be what the change will do for you. You might need to finally hold somebody accountable on that coaching staff, because it seems like, and the players see it too, this goes into the psychology of the whole thing too. Hey, these coaches can pick everything up as much as they want. They'll just replace us, keep their jobs, and bring in another set of schmucks to screw up with again. So you actually need to, if this offense doesn't turn either against Miami, Baltimore, you got two shit defenses. Something has to make sense. Dylan Gabriel start 3, start 4, and he has to throw a touchdown. He has to be able to move the ball. They did look good for a half a second in that 2-minute drill that the lead up into the end of this first half. But they need to look better than 90 seconds of the game. So, yeah.
I hate to say this. I think it's too late. I don't think they'll get it. I don't think they'll get an opportunity. Because none of the trends changed. It's just, even when you mentioned when it was 23-3 and it turned into 23-9, when it was 16-3, when it was 9-0 earlier in the game. Yeah, that's it. I knew that was a loss.
You see what shirt I'm wearing. I never had one doubt that this team was going to lose, the Steelers were going to lose that game. I did not think for 1 second that that game was ever in doubt. By the way, I love the Steelyard soundtrack that we're getting right now with all the whoop whoops happening. Please don't like watch anybody get shot. But yeah, like
we're in the clear right now. We're in the clear.
We're in the clear.
We're in the clear. We're good.
Is not threatening at all. There is no person, maybe Judkins, he's emerging as a pretty good back. I know he didn't have a great day today, but there's nobody on this team that an offensive coordinator sitting down saying, let's game plan for this guy. Let's make sure this guy is stopped. That's why we see Harold Fannin have a great half of football and then get shut out, because we're like, hey, all we got to do is just stop that guy and we're fine.
Right. And that's why for me, I know like all the talk's going to be on Stefanski. I think Andrew Berry is just part of the problem, because even though he's had a great class here,
this class might really vindicate him there. It really might.
What I will say, though, you're 6 years into the job. I don't know if one class will save him. Maybe it will. Maybe. But I will just add, we watched today Penn State fire James Franklin. And I only bring up James Franklin because, expectations were let down. They could have kept him. They could have said, hey, this is a bad season. Things aren't really working out. Let's, ride out the season, get an opportunity to figure things out. That would be the fair thing to do. And Penn State said, no, you're not meeting expectations. We got to let you go. I know the Browns early in their ownership said, hey, we're going to get rid of Chud after one season. We're going to do other things early. And they tried not to do that with this. But I just don't know. You mentioned the Miami game. It would be fair to give these guys the Miami game. But I just don't. Tomorrow's going to be a bad day. I just don't think they'll get that opportunity, guys. I just don't.
I don't see them getting fired right now. I just don't. I
don't either. I don't either. You got to give them this stretch. Next 5-6 games. After that, whatever happens, happens.
Because I'll mention one other thing. Real quick, I'll mention one other thing. the 4:00 game was the Bengals game, correct?
Yeah.
Bengals, and I know the Bengals didn't, they didn't get the W, but to having that 4:00 game, Joe Flacco starting for another team, and the other CBS game, by the way, was Baker Mayfield.
Yeah,
It was.
So,
man, I miss Baker, man. I miss Baker, bro. That sucks.
everybody does.
Browns miss him too.
I just don't get it. I mean, that's obviously we didn't get to address it when I didn't get to address it because the show wasn't going on, but that is the worst Cleveland moment. Top 3 worst Cleveland moment.
The
I've
problem
ever experienced
is
as a fan.
the problem is now, and the way that history is looking at this, and the why the Browns are in this quarterback nightmare that they're in, is that you had 2 of the dumbest moves in franchise history happen within a week of each other, and that was getting rid of Baker and then giving $250 million to Deshaun. If one of those just happens, you might be able to handle it. Both of them, no. And right now, as we're talking to you, Baker Mayfield is through week 5, he is the MVP of the league.
Yep.
He won a game today without Godwin, without Evans. Ibuka went down too in that whole thing. He was dealing with really no receivers. And also, too, their back was out for the game, too. So they're running back.
Bucky Irvin,
Irvin, yep.
And he ended up pulling that out. And right now, all the moxie and all the attitude and all the swagger that we're seeing out of Baker, every Browns fan was hoping that's what we would get when he came into town, 7 years ago, it seems like. So... yeah. Then you get rid of him, you put in Watson, you're completely screwed. And the Browns, that is the reason why they're here. And I honestly think, too, and this should go into what Kevin Stefanski and Andrew Berry are going to be evaluated on either this week, next week, whatever come to Jesus meeting they're going to have is, hey, if I'm Jimmy Haslam, and I understand Jimmy was probably pushing for Deshaun, too, but billionaires can have revisionist histories and can change events in their head, no problem. But Jimmy Haslam has every right now to look at Kevin Stefanski and say, so this guy right here in Tampa Bay, who's going to win the MVP, who is succeeding Tom Brady in a pretty damn honorable way when you get down to it. Tell me why he couldn't fit into your offensive philosophy, and tell me why Joe Flacco and Dylan Gabriel could, because I think the fact that Baker couldn't fit here is now saying a whole lot more about the Browns than it does Baker.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I was mad about it when it happened. Still mad about it. But happy for Baker. And it's like, you cannot fault. This is my final take on the Browns for this week, I think. You cannot fault people for liking Baker Mayfield and rooting for him. I see so many people when I am on social media being like, Baker bros, and people not rocking with Baker. And I just think it's corny because he doesn't play in Cleveland anymore and he's doing well somewhere else. I think the people that are mad about it are the people who are still hoping that Deshaun Watson was going to be the answer and that any of these guys could be the answer. And unfortunately, the Browns were wrong again.
Yeah, and they're paying for it right now. And it's astonishing to this point that any of the decision makers for the Browns have not paid with their jobs for any of that evaluation process, because those by themselves are 2 fireable offenses separately. Combined, I'm shocked these guys are still alive in the NFL at this rate, because this is where they're at.
0-16 was a fireable offense. 1-31 was a fireable offense. And the Haslams did not get rid of Hugh Jackson. The one, in my final thing, the Haslams, they do things on one extreme or the other. Either they fire people too quickly, or they keep people in jobs for too long. And I think you're seeing the opposite of the spectrum. I just think ultimately at the end of the day, I think people are finding other things to do than watch the Cleveland Browns. And until things change, that's going to continue. And as an owner, that's the worst thing that can happen, especially as we enter into Cavs season. There's other things to do on the weekends. Even for the sake of what we do, our station, like the Browns sucking does not help us. I mean, if again, I mentioned before, when our teams win, people tune in, people listen, people want to get reaction, and they want to celebrate. When they're losing the same way each and every single week, that doesn't help us. That doesn't help our business.
No, I mean, you guys ask, when we do show meetings and it's like, hey, do you want to, let's leave with the Browns. Part of me is just sitting here going, why? I mean, I understand why we have to. It's almost pro forma, but yeah, I mean, it's almost even getting to the point where it's just pointless to talk about. And I think that's why this record, even though it's not 0-16 right now, feels a lot like that, and why is definitely forcing us to look at other avenues in sports if we want to be entertained, be it a Sunday night football game right now as we're recording. Kansas City's up 27-17 over Detroit with about 8 minutes to go in the fourth. Also, too, we actually have some baseball going on. I know we, as Clevelanders, basically swore off the 9-inning pastime when the Guardians got knocked out. But we got two championship series happening. One happening today right now. The Mariners are currently up over the Blue Jays right now, top of 9. Runner on first base for the Mariners, trying to see if they can add on to it. Jorge Polanco, a big day today, a couple of RBI singles. Cal Raleigh, a home run of his own. Stop me if you've ever heard that one before.
Big dumper.
But big dumper.
Like Seattle is on the verge anyway of going up 1-0 in this series. Watching all of this kind of happen, watching the way that these series kind of and these matchups formed in general, at least for me, has been a very entertaining playoff run. I know I don't have a dog in the fight right now. I guess I'm a pseudo Brewers fan at this point in time. Win one for the Euchre, man. Win one for Bab. See what's going on with that one. But past that, I'm just enjoying entertaining baseball. With you guys, I mean, are you watching any of this stuff? Are you still consuming baseball on any level, or
did you guys
see
Friday?
What's up?
Did you guys see Friday's game that went to like 2 a.m?
Well, yeah, I mean, you had a situation with Pittsburgh and Philadelphia and Detroit. Philly figured out a heartbreaking way to lose a game, and then Detroit said, "Hold my beer. I'll see if I can top that." Tarek Skubal went 6 innings of 1-run ball, and then they played a whole game after that. They played a full 9 innings after that start. And then, yes, if you guys didn't see it, yeah, Anthony, I'm sure you are talking about the heartbreaking extra innings. So what was it? Polanco actually with the single, I think, to break it up.
I fell asleep after the 12th inning. I woke up. It's like, oh, Seattle won it. What was it? The 15th inning?
15,
yep.
15.
I made it to the 11th inning. I was like, man, I looked at Papa Moon and I was like, man, I can't. I just think this is going to be a long one. Like, I remember watching that All-Star game that one time go like 17 or 18 innings.
Yeah.
That was a long time. Well, so I
think it was like 4. I think that was about 14 or so.
Yep.
Okay. No, that kind of brings it back to the old school pre-ghost runner on second base of, yeah, we could be here for a long, long time, everybody. And it was siege warfare. It was two teams basically trying to hold up, and whichever one. And it's got to be and I understand, and we'll compare it to what happened in Philadelphia too in a second here. And I understand it was a clean single and everything like that, but that's what baseball fans of any team, of any playoff team, has to deal with. You have this up and down slog that is 162 games. You're going everywhere from Miami to Seattle to DC to San Diego to Kansas to Minnesota. You're breaking fingers. You got bumps and you got bruises, your highs and your lows, your winning streaks, your losing streaks. And then you're in a situation for 6 innings straight. If you're the Tigers, that literally one swing of the bat could end all of that. Could end it all before the ball even lands on the ground. You're done. And you saw it kind of with that out, with the outfielder out in right field. The second that ball went past him, it was dead to him. Season's done.
Well, I'll say this.
Yeah.
Rob, I gotta say, I've really enjoyed watching like the teams that don't usually make it this far make it to where they're at. We got the Blue Jays, who the last time they made it there, they thought Ryan Merritt was gonna be shaking in his boots, and it's just cool to see them back and see them playing, a team in the Mariners that haven't been there since, I believe they said 2001.
Yeah, 2001.
Correct.
So it's like, that's crazy. And then even on the other side, I know you said you're rooting for the Brewers. Myself, I'm rooting for the Seattle team, but it's just cool to see a bunch of these teams that are like, I guess most people would consider underdogs. They're people that, teams they wouldn't expect there.
Yeah, you got three oddballs, three non-perennial powers, and the Dodgers. And yeah, speaking of that, and real quick, just to kind of close the loop on this here, with the Philadelphia Phillies and the Dodgers, what happened was it was literally unprecedented. We were talking about the 15-game deficit the Guardians overcame, how that literally never happened. What happened in Philadelphia on Thursday literally was the same thing. It was the first time in a postseason series that you had a series-deciding walk-off error. Major League Baseball has been playing World Series since 1901. And that had never, ever happened. And you got to look at the way that Philadelphia is handling this, with the way that the manager, Rob Thompson, has dealt with the reliever that was in the worst possible situation I think you've ever seen it, because it really was a ball knocked out to the pitcher's mound, and the pitcher did exactly what I've done, what Anthony's done, what Moon's done. And, you kind of bobble a ball, you boot it real quick, and then you freak out and you pick it up and you throw it real fast. That's kind of a go-to move for a freaking out infielder. And sadly for him, that was in front of 30,000 people, and who all cheered and rooted and raved and reacted accordingly when he booted it and when he screwed up. So,
well, Rob, one real quick about that particular situation. I heard Pedro Martinez talk about that in the post game at TBS. And he talked about culture with the Phillies. He's like, the Phillies during the season, they were winning games. So it didn't seem like they had a culture that, that did the things that needed to be done to get themselves at an elite level. It was always we're waiting for a teammate to screw up. And when that happens, forget about it. Something's wrong. And I love what Pedro Martinez had to say. It's like, they got to fix their culture first, the Phillies, if they want to win a world championship again. And I think that's huge. I mean, the Dodgers, for all intents and purposes, dominated that series.
Oh yeah, they did. I mean, they were close games, but yeah, the Dodgers were clearly superior. And I mean, you got the starters that the Dodgers do. You got the lineup the Dodgers do, and it's still an uphill battle, even when you're the Phillies and you had the best record in the sport. I didn't see what Pedro said, unfortunately, and I'm not really acclimated with Phillies baseball day to day as I am with the Guardians. But what I'll say is I respect their culture. We saw it was in a different sport, and I understand between football and baseball, you got very different mentalities. Football is much more aggressive, but you saw Shane Steichen with the Cardinals, the Arizona head coach, dealing with the running back that dropped the ball on the 1 yard line, and he ended up getting fined $100,000 for it. He was smacking him up. He was, we've all been there as a player. We've seen it on the sideline, a coach lighting up a player. That was what he was doing, screaming in his face, slapping him around a little bit, everything short of grabbing him by the face mask and yank it. And he got fined $100,000 for that. Philadelphia, Rob Thompson, the manager out there, before the pitcher Keckering got off the mound, Orion Keckering is a kid's name. Picture Tim Herron for us. Picture Cade Smith. Young reliever, pitched pretty well for the team. Didn't really have a whole lot of reason for the fans to hate him before that day. Rob Thompson, gave the kid a hug, was telling him like, okay, don't sweat this. We will deal with this together. We win as a team, we lose as a team, and everyone held their head up high. And, Keckering, the reliever, I give him credit. He answered every question the media was throwing at him after the game. So I like the culture out there. And I think actually, if I'm the Philly fan base, and I know Philadelphia is not exactly known for being warm and cuddly as a fan base, but I could see Keckering being treated a little bit like Ernest Biner out here, where, Biner had the fumble and, it was heartbreaking and it was gut-wrenching and it was stupid. It was a bad play. But Biner, like this kid Keckering, he took responsibility for it. You knew he was the one who was, hurt the most by it. It affected him on a personal level. And I could see, 10 years from now, whatever it is, that this kid's kind of respected in Philadelphia for being a man about messing up and being, holding yourself accountable. He was the one that said he lost the game. The manager didn't. So I'm okay with the culture out there. Now, maybe they do have to tighten up infield practice and figure shit out. But, I like the culture out there.
Well, here's the thing about the culture. We could tell 29 other fan bases, hey, our culture stinks. And they don't understand our culture, what goes right, what goes wrong. That means a little something if a national guy. I know Pedro Martinez, resume, Boston Red Sox, all that stuff. Obviously, he knows ball. That says a lot when a national guy is talking about a playoff team's culture when they're not really known for choking, right? Like, they're not. I can understand you can talk culture if you're talking about the Buffalo Bills losing 4 straight Super Bowls. I get that. But,
well, you got to remember, the Philadelphia Phillies, they were an original National League team, and they did not win a World Series until 1980 with Pete Rose. They had Mitch the Wild Thing Williams against the Blue Jays in the early 90s. They lost that World Series. They finally did win one with the Chase Utley years, Ryan Howard run. But this is a team that has lost, I believe it's now 4 series in walk-off fashion in recent history. So they might do have a little bit of history of choking a little bit. We'll see.
Real quick, I'll mention, I know we got a break. I do want to go back to the extra innings game. First off, all-time classic. I thought Adam Amin, see the Seattle game with final, Seattle 3-1 over Toronto game 1. Adam Amin had a great play-by-play call. He flew over 3,000 miles from Seattle to Carolina to call a football game with the Cowboys and Panthers. So kudos to Adam Amin. As much as I enjoyed the extra innings game, thank goodness the runner on second is a rule in the regular season.
You got to earn shit.
God.
No
way.
God.
No, that's the wrong take. That's
dude,
the wrong
did you
take.
see? I'm sure. Did you see Dan Dickerson, the play-by-play guy for the Tigers, on the air with his Harry Doyle-esque outer monologue? Getting known to the world, dropping a few F-bombs and saying, quote, fuck this post-game report. I don't think he's going to get into too much trouble because I think he said something that literally every Tigers fan agreed with. I don't think anybody was really hurting that point. And also, too, if he's on the air and he's doing that at 3:00 in the morning, you're in safe harbor. You're not getting fined. So we're good.
That is correct.
But that's what innings will do to something.
I got one final thing to say about the Seattle Mariners. You got to let Humpy win some more. I don't know if anybody knows about Humpy, the whale or whatever, the dolphin. I think it's a dolphin. They do this race in Seattle, Rob, just like, I don't know if you're hip or anybody watching. Thanks to everybody watching right now. But I don't know if you're hip out there. They do this thing in Seattle where they do this dolphin race. And Humpy has never won, at least this season. I don't know ever, but at least this season. And Humpy won when they did the second run through because of how long the game went. And not even an inning later, that bottom of that half inning, the Mariners walk it off. Coincidence? I don't think so. Seattle doesn't think so. All I'm saying is you get some more Humpy winning some races, the Mariners might have a long October ahead of them. That's my take.
Well, I'm glad you're working the Humpy beat for the show. I'm sure we'll keep everybody abreast of what is happening right now with the great whales. It's Save the
Something
Whales,
like
right?
that. Something like that.
Okay, Save the Whales. Okay. We yes, if you're listening outside of Cleveland, we have our great hot dog race. Same kind of thing. Pittsburgh, I think, has pierogies. Washington D.C. has presidents. You see like a little Theodore Roosevelt running around in a big old foam costume. It's great.
Yeah.
So
I think they all think they're corrupted.
I mean, really,
We got to go to break.
On Washington and Jefferson, those crazy, Antifa, actual revolutionaries. Yeah, I guess, they are getting some heat right now. I guess
I got to drive to my next destination doing a commercial.
I was going to say we'll use this awkward political conversation as an excuse to take a quick break here. We'll come back we'll go through some of the news that honestly me and Eli talked about, but Double A is going to be getting this straight up blind, and we'll see how that's going to happen. We'll talk about what we've learned this week and wrap this puppy up and get you going here and having you start your week on Monday morning here. This is the main event on the Inside Edge Podcasting Network. As we're talking right now, the Kansas City Chiefs are up 27-17 over the Lions with about 2.5 minutes to go in the game. We'll let you know when that goes final, and we'll keep on going with this puppy here. We got Eli Moon. We got there he is. We got Anthony Alford, and he's not in witness protection. And by the way, congratulations for staying in a parked car at Steelyard for 20 minutes without getting shot. We'll see if we do.
That's why we need to go to break. That's why we need to go
to
break. I'll go to another place.
We'll be back, bitches. See you soon. And welcome back to the main event on the Inside Edge Podcasting Network. We have Anthony Alford. Where are you at right now?
We are in
Is that a
Garfield
sheath?
now.
Is that a sheath? Oh no, Giant
No.
Eagle. Okay.
No,
No,
this
they're
is
not a
Eagle.
sponsor, Double A. Keep that in mind. But yes.
Yeah. Doesn't matter.
But they can be.
I'm at Garfield right now.
Okay, we got Double A little bit closer to home. We have Eli Moon still sitting in his comfortable abode in Parma. I am out in Mentor. I am Rob Rozycki. And as I said, this is the main event on the Inside Edge Podcasting Network. The Sunday night football game on NBC has gone final. The Kansas City Chiefs have defeated the Detroit Lions 30-17. Kansas City now moves to 3-3 on the year, and Detroit falls to 4-2, and now in the second place spot in the NFC North. But we have talked enough football throughout the first three quarters of this shebang. Let's move on to really some other news stories that we might have forgotten while we have been worried about what's happening with the Cleveland Browns, the NFL, our fantasy football teams, and what wagers we may or may not have placed on any sort of sporting contest in the last couple of days. So if you guys don't mind, do you want to do the news?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Right. And I'll get really old here, and I'll put on my glasses here for a half a second so I can read what the hell I wrote down. By the way, every time I look up and I see briefly me before I kind of realize it's me, I freak out because I thought I see a ghost and it's my father. So it is what it is. I guess.
Yeah, that could be tough. Yeah.
But first and foremost, I guess non-baseball, non-pro football story kind of radiating throughout the sports world right now. James Franklin out at Penn State. It went from bad to worse to catastrophic, I think, within the course of a couple of weeks. You lose to Oregon. That's no shame in that. But then you lose to UCLA, a team that before they played you hadn't led at any point in time this year. And then after that, I believe it was Northwestern was up, and they cleaned Penn State's clock again. And just when you thought it couldn't get any worse, they find out that Medina product and starting quarterback Drew Aller is going to be out for the year with a season-ending injury sustained in that third loss. And when they thought it couldn't get any worse after that, it went catastrophic, and they nuked the whole thing and got James Franklin out of Penn State and paid him about $60 million to get him out of town. This is a big story. This is the preseason top two team that's now going to be looking for a head coach in a couple months.
You go first, Eli.
Yeah, I mean, I just think it's crazy, but I think it also comes back to the college football playoff last year. I mean, we've always talked about James Franklin not getting it done. And I think last year, without getting the job done against Notre Dame, and I remember watching multiple times that James Franklin led offense, with Drew Aller at quarterback, not get it done. And I think they were delaying the inevitable. I mean, you can't necessarily release a starting quarterback at Penn State. You can bench him, but they weren't going to bench Drew Aller when he came back. And at the end of the day, I think that sting of losing, being that close because of what the 12-team playoff allows, we've talked about that, but being that close and then not getting it done and then having that first punch in the mouth, I think it was just downhill after that. I feel bad for my brother too, actually, in the grand scheme of things, because my brother, who is an Ohio State student, was only going to one football game this year that he could get tickets on. And I was like, dude, this is a good game. This is going to be a top-ranked team versus top-ranked team. This might be a national championship preview. And it was against Penn State. So my bad, Austin. I'm sorry, bud. Yeah. James Franklin out, but yeah. Go ahead, Double A.
I have to point out something briefly. Somebody pulled into this parking lot attempting a call of a certain type, and I was sitting here, and they promptly left.
That's probably for the best for everybody involved.
Yes, probably. Yeah. It's funny. There's funny things that happen on a Sunday night when you're on the road. I'm not
Warm
kidding.
night.
That just happened.
Warm nights. That brings out the crazies.
I'm
We don't got much of
kidding.
them left. This
We
year.
don't got no. I'll say this about James Franklin. It's tough to feel sorry for a person who was an a-hole to everybody. With that being said, you do feel bad in the sense that how do you tell kids who, hey, you know what, don't go to the draft, sign this NIL deal, one more year, we were this close to the national championship, let's run it back, let's go, let's actually do it. And you go from losing a tough game to Oregon, who up until yesterday, they're national championship contenders themselves. Then you lose a second game, and then you lose to Northwestern. And that's like the backbreaker, losing to Northwestern in football. And the season just unravels. If we're talking about fairness, and I know we talked about this with our football team here, Rob and Eli, would it have been fair for James Franklin to find a way to fix this and at least make something out of this season? Sure. But Penn State, the school that, notwithstanding all the stuff that happened with Joe Paterno that we found out, but that man was the head coach at Penn State for 45 years? They had bad seasons. There were years where they didn't have winning seasons.
Well, yeah, I mean, you could look at Ohio State and say the same thing through Woody Hayes, through John Cooper. I mean, Earl Bruce, I think, first couple of years he was in town, he was winning 2 or 3 games. And, any Ohio State coach that were to debut with a 3-win season right now would be probably a receivers coach in the NFL in a year or two.
Yeah. Jim Trussell, after the national championship year, he had a few struggling seasons until Troy Smith and Ted Ginn Jr. started to play meaningful minutes.
Yeah, and I think it's my thing on this too, Rob, is I think to what Double A is trying to say, and I know you're trying to tie it to Stefanski, and that's very, very that makes me want to go back into arguments about the Browns. But what I'll say is with college, it's also about being bought in to a degree of you're shaping them to become leaders. And they always talk about how college, that's where you become the leader, you develop your real grit. That's where you take that next leap. And these guys are supposed to be leaders of men. That's what these parents are when they're visiting their houses. They're telling them, hey, I'm gonna watch out for them. And I'm not saying James Franklin doesn't watch out, but it just comes to a point where there's just a disconnect. Where
I think real quick, Rob, I think if James Franklin treated people better, publicly, I don't know how he treats people privately. I think if he treated people better publicly, he would still have a job at Penn State.
Yeah.
Rob.
Well, and I think the other thing, though, that we haven't mentioned that is a huge part of this, James Franklin has a dismal record against good teams. ESPN was saying that his 160 winning percentage against AP top 10 teams is tied for the 3rd worst in history since they've been keeping track of such things. And also, too, when he's a top 10 team himself, he doesn't do well. He's lost 12 games as a top 10 team against other top 10 teams. He has lost a lot of big games throughout the years. And the Oregon thing, I understand Oregon was a game that was a toss-up, was another elite team in the Big Ten. But when you throw that in with constant losses to Ohio State and Michigan, and, it seems like when Wisconsin's good, they'll tune them up. Whatever's going down, no matter what's happening, it seems like Penn State can't win the big game. And in the era of the playoffs, in the era where you are going to have to win 3 or 4 big games to get a national title, Penn State decided that $64 million was well worth moving on. And I wouldn't be surprised if some pissed off Penn State alum picked up the phone and called the AD and said, whatever the buyout is, I'll cut the check and we'll move on with our merry way and figure out what's going to happen next. Meanwhile,
I guarantee
$700 million on stadium, buyouts, athletic facilities. They have spent almost $750 million on that football program over at Penn State. And I think people are wanting to see their money's worth.
And I guarantee you, just to add on to what you're saying, one of the boosters watched Indiana beat Oregon. Indiana. I know it was a top 10 matchup, but I don't remember the last time.
Well, Penn State was top 15, I think, by the time.
But right. Like, Indiana went to the West Coast, went to Oregon, and beat them. And meanwhile, in that same 3:30 CBS time slot, Penn State, that was the second loss. UCLA, like the worst upset in college football all season.
Mm-hmm. Probably in the last 3 or 4 years, to tell you the truth. Even that Northern Illinois over Notre Dame last year wasn't Northern Illinois was a better team than UCLA is.
I believe according to Vegas, that UCLA upset was one of the all-time upsets in the history of college football.
Yeah, and I'm not gonna lie, AA. I was looking at, I've told you guys I'm partaking a few parlays from time to time. I looked at that and I was like, there's just no way Penn State loses. But it was like crazy. It was like plus 4,500 odds before the game. It was a crazy. Like they were predicted to win that game by like I think 28 points. And so my final take, Rozycki, on this, because I know we could talk about James Franklin and Penn State and the failure they are. I know you got a ton of news to talk to us about. What I want to tell you about this is it comes down in college. If you don't, as a coach, do your job to become likable or somebody that players want to invest in so that you can invest in them and have a bond between coach and player, then you're just not going to make it happen. And players are disconnected from James Franklin. Like the AA's point, the way he treats people, and now the track record on the field. Why would I want to go play for James Franklin when I can go play for Ryan Day in Columbus?
I'll take it one step further. When you don't win big game, shit like that matters.
Yep,
if you were taking care of business against the top 10, if he was the biggest prick on the planet, no one would care.
Yep, absolutely.
But yes, as you're right, we do have a few other things to be talking about here, and I'm actually surprised we didn't lead with the show. I'm actually surprised that we didn't have a special episode of the main event here on the Inside Edge Podcasting Network at noon on Tuesday, because we had a decision, and it was one of the biggest decisions that was going to affect the sports world that we can remember, really, since LeBron's decision 15 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
Teased it on Monday. LeBron James, 23 years in the league, said he had the decision of decisions to make and to announce on Tuesday, October 7th, I believe it was, at noon.
Yep.
And we got that news around that time on that day.
Yeah, we did.
And we found out that he, in fact, is taking his talents to Hennessy. Let me give you a second to kind of process that, because I know it's huge news. Really, is everybody else just sick and tired of his bullshit? Is everybody else just tired? Because honestly, I saw that and I unfollowed him on social media. I said to myself that anything that he's going to do that I care about, I will see on SportsCenter. And I'm done with this crap, because I'm tired of this corny dad, holier than thou, I'm the center of attention, I need all of your eyeballs on me bullshit. Anybody else feel like that, or am I the old cranky one as usual out of the three of us?
AA, you let me go last time. The floor is yours. Go ahead first.
I think for this, when you narrow down, like, what could this have been? Could have been him announcing a retirement tour.
That's what I thought.
I mean, could have been. He can't be. He's going to another team. I mean, you can't do that. First off, the insiders would have scooped that out. Like, that's not happening. I just didn't see anything that would make this major news other than a retirement tour. And I even
maybe
think with a
the
retirement,
World League that he was thinking about investing in, but that was
the other thing.
that was it. Yeah,
That was the hold up.
it wasn't him. Yeah, you're right. It wasn't him.
Double, are you okay?
No, the booty call people are back. Okay, they went to the other lot. They made an adjustment. They went to the other lot. All right, we're back in business.
All right, that's a pro move. Good job.
Here's the thing about LeBron, Rob and Double A. I can't believe me, honestly. Like, because I sat there and I'm like, dude. And I told like all my coworkers at the 9 to 5, I'm like, dude, do you think LeBron's retiring? Like, I mean, there's a small chance he gets on there and is like, because Double A, I hear you, like the insiders could have scooped it out. But also, if anybody's going to keep it under wraps, I do believe LeBron could have kept something like that under wraps and been like, we requested a trade to so-and-so, or we're wanting to move on from the league, whatever. I think it could have been something so cool. And instead, it's like, dude, first off, I don't drink anymore, so I don't give a shit. And second off, anybody that does drink doesn't need LeBron to tell them that they should drink Hennessy. If you're going to drink Hennessy, you're going to drink Hennessy. You don't need LeBron James telling you. My thing is this, Rob. LeBron makes these stupid moves, in my opinion, and I get it. It's going to make him a lot of money. But stupid as far as, like, goodwill with his fan base. So why should I care when he does go, I'm doing a farewell tour or something? Okay, cool. The league's on to Luka. The league's on to Anthony Edwards. The league's on to these guys, Giannis. Like, LeBron, you have had your time. And we could argue that you may not have even been the greatest in your generation when we compare all the accolades. That's a discussion for the NBA season.
He has the most points of anybody in history. I think he's the best of his generation.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Oh, the rings. Oh, the rings. The rings. Is he committed?
And again, I don't want to start that right now. But I think you bring up a good point, though, Moon. Yeah. Is LeBron even relevant in the NBA anymore? Because he is kind of seen as the corny dad.
Yes.
Hold on.
Yes, he's relevant in the NBA. Yes.
Okay. Well, no. Hold on. You know, he's seen now as kind of the corny dad. He comes off to me as like the parent hanging out at like the high school party, chaperoning the kids, thinking he's the cool one in the room when he's really the furthest thing from the truth. That's how he comes off to me. But I'm saying relevant in the NBA with the players, with the fans. You got to remember, you know, if you got a 19-year-old kid getting drafted right now, LeBron might have been, quote, in his eyes, old and busted since he's been playing high school ball. He's in year 23 right now. He's old enough to be most of these guys' dads. He's older than probably a third of the league at this point. Or I'm sorry, he's older than he was. No, what I was going to say was he has been playing longer than a third of the league has been alive. We'll go with that.
Yeah, I was going to say he's the oldest player right now.
He is
correct?
by far the oldest player. He is at a high level, but you put in the fact of Moon bringing up the fact that he's not even the number one guy on his team anymore. It's Luka, and you got an MVP in SGA right now in Oklahoma City. Everyone's worried about what Giannis is going to do. Everyone's now keeping an eye on the old man Durant in Houston, seeing how that's going to materialize. You got Jokic happening in Denver. There's a lot of other things, a lot of other balls in the air for the fans to worry about. Then honestly, a team that hasn't won shit since the pandemic season. That's been pretty much since the Lakers have been good. So what are we really doing here if I'm LeBron? I'm making a lot of money, but am I the number one focus of the league anymore? Not really.
Well, two questions. Number one, to downsize that question, is LeBron the number one option for the Lakers right now? No. In terms of everything, not just on the floor, but marketing and things like that. If the answer is no,
I heard, hold on. One thing I heard was the Lakers have an off-season meeting every year, especially since LeBron. I think Kobe was kind of doing it too. They sit down with LeBron, with Pelinka, with the ownership, and figure out where the direction of the franchise was going. They had that meeting this year. LeBron didn't know about it. Luka was in the room. So the Lakers are even saying with their actions that maybe Luka is the priority moving forward. And who can play? LeBron's 104 years old. I know he's averaging
Right.
25 points a night, but how long can you really count on that?
Succession plan in place. And then my second question, Eli, I know you don't drink, so this is more towards Rob. Did LeBron convince you to buy Hennessy?
Oh, God, no. No.
I
I tried Hennessy a couple times in college, and I realized it wasn't for me. If you want to kind of go by societal norms, I'm not really in the demographic, we'll just say, for a little Henny. So, no, cognac, anything along that line is just not cool with me. And
Hennessy
honestly,
was my first drink, Rozycki. Hennessy
Really?
was my first drink. Yeah. Story time. I know
you on the mean streets of Parma?
No, well, look, at a time I lived in Old Brooklyn, but
Ooh.
I graduated. Yeah, I know. Well, people know that's Cleveland. So at the end of the day, I had this party for like celebrating graduation, and I was like, man, my mom was like, what do you want for your like graduation? I was like 18. It's like high school graduation. I said a bottle of Hennessy, and I remember I was sipping on that hen dog at my uncle's house. Crazy.
Okay.
But no, LeBron.
Mine was Grey Goose, so okay, good job.
Grey Goose is crazy, bro. Grey
And
Goose
probably
is crazy.
that happened before you were born. So yeah, that was back
look,
when Grey Goose was hot shit.
Look, I'll say this: if Henny, leave it. I'm not saying it's a bad drink. Leave it alone. Leave it alone. If you want, leave it alone. Leave it. Like, I don't know what LeBron marketing wise. I know the whole point of marketing is to get people to talk about what you're selling, supposedly, but really the whole point of marketing is to get people to buy what you're promoting. And I think you guys are right. There were more disappointed people after watching LeBron, after reacting to that news. And to be perfectly honest, all kidding aside, the mockery of one of the worst moments in Cleveland sports history.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
That's
yeah,
really what
I know
it
he
is.
won a title since then, but yeah.
Like that, how this town felt when that happened. And there are some people that I know, and again, he did win the title. He came back. He won the title. I'm cool with that. There are some people in this town that wish the other team won the championship that year, not the Cat, not LeBron.
Well, we worked with a radio personality here in Cleveland that would infamously say, Modell only left once, LeBron left twice, and didn't really care too much about whatever he had to do after he left the first time. So, yeah, you're right. So, and the fact that he kind of made a mockery of that and used it as a chance to just get a couple more dollars and cents, when the last thing we know, and I understand we live in a capitalist society, everyone is entitled to make as much money as possible, but we know that the last thing LeBron truly needed was that check from Hennessy. It's not like he was missing any meals beforehand.
Because LeBron is the one person, this is going to make me sound like a complete hater of LeBron. I respect everything he's done, everything like that, but this is the truth. LeBron is the one person who cares more about his identity than anybody else in the history of basketball.
I was going to say him and The Rock are like kind of like ping pong in between that.
So like on one end, LeBron is going to say, oh, I'm not thinking about this. I'm not thinking about that. I'm not thinking about whatever. Then he'll turn around and talk about how his one championship in Cleveland meant more than anything else. Like, he doesn't care about his legacy, but he's thinking about his legacy every second that he's operating business. Like, you don't name something and promote the second decision just for the hell of it. You did that on purpose, and then you're going to flip around and say, oh, fans should make a big deal. No, you made a big deal about that, LeBron. You did.
Yeah,
you did.
And I agree with you. He's been pretty much worried about legacy since I think he came back the second time. I think, since he did the homecoming tour, that's been legacy. But yeah, we'll see what happens. He's going to miss the first 30 days of the season or so. Sciatica, because he didn't sound old enough at 43. Sciatica is why he will be actually missing his first season opener of his career. He's been healthy, that's the thing. You can't take anything away from him on the court. I mean, the guy has done everything you can do to be a top 5 player all time.
Out 3 to 4 weeks. Yep.
But moving on, we do have some other stuff to talk about here. Lord knows, LeBron can occupy all of our lives here. We got a few other things happening right now. We have this continuation of one of the weirdest stories I can really remember happening in football, in media, in life in general, tabloid stuff. And that's Mark Sanchez has now done a public interview. I think it was the New York Post or TMZ got a camera in his face as he was leaving the hospital. He really didn't say much. He was thankful for the surgeons that saved his ass. He didn't. He said he was basically just concentrating on recovery from his injuries. I'm sure he cleared that statement with several practicing lawyers to make sure that was going to be okay. Now his ex is coming out talking to tabloids saying that she isn't surprised by this behavior, alluding to a history that he has of drinking heavily and doing whatever stuff. Allegedly, again, this is ex-girlfriends, ex-wives, ex-baby mamas talking. So take whatever you can with whatever you can on that. But honestly, have you ever seen anything this crazy happen? I mean, we're talking about a 38-year-old retired player here, gets blitz drunk, and Lord knows on what else, allegedly, maybe not. Tunes up a 69-year-old truck driver, gets stabbed in the process, and now is dealing with all of the legal and media fallout that Mark Sanchez is dealing with.
Yeah, it's not good. That's for starters. But I mean, it's also like
well analyzed.
Thank you. I'm working on that.
Not good.
Back to you. Yeah.
No.
I don't think it was good either.
I just think it's a bad look, obviously, for Mark Sanchez, and a guy who was slowly putting away the butt fumble as a highlight. They weren't showing it as much. He was starting to build somewhat of a career in media. He was respected,
I liked him as a guest. I mean, I saw him, Dan Patrick, he's a regular guest, a few other sports talk shows. He knows what he's talking about. He's
very knowledgeable, very knowledgeable. But I mean, unfortunately, we all have vices. And some people, it's no shade. It's just, they can't put down the bottle, and it's unfortunate that this happened. For everybody involved, luckily there was no, deaths or murders involved in this. Everybody's made it out all right. I mean, obviously banged up pretty bad, both of them, but it's just a shame, man. Ultimately, just to see these guys fall down the wrong path. Ultimately, I don't have much to say on it. I mean, because I never want to pray on anybody's downfall, but it's sad to see, man. Because like I said, the biggest blunder in his career is running into somebody's ass and fumbling the football. Until this.
Yeah. And the crazy thing, so to add on from the details I've seen, that 69-year-old is not only suing Mark Sanchez, he's also suing Fox Sports or the Fox Network. And that detail, and I think Mike Florio made a great point. That detail is relevant because Fox is not going to fire him right now. You don't want, as crazy as it sounds, it logically makes sense. You don't want an employee, you don't want to let go of an employee who can actually help you in court. And the reason why the 69-year-old is suing Fox is because he believes, and his legal team believes, that because they were on site in Indianapolis, that Fox did not do their due diligence, making sure their employee was okay, and just sent Mark Sanchez, sent one of their employees off, and they're going to try to make a case that he was pretty much under the influence before he went to that bar.
The real reason why they're suing Fox is because they have infinitely more dollars than Mark Sanchez does. Far deeper pockets can get far more money. And when you're talking about a 69-year-old truck driver with the injuries he's reported to have received, he's at the age where he might have to find a new normal. I don't know if he's ever going to be moving around the same way he was when he was delivering oil that night. So yeah, they're going to be looking for everything they can. And yeah, it's, Fox's, their process is going to be scrutinized. They're going to, if there was any other, the game day crew that was out there with him on that night drinking, like as teams tend to do. Hey, we got, night before the game, let's go out and have a couple of pops and a steak and we'll get ready to go for tomorrow morning. He might have had a few too many. And was anybody at the table aware of it? Was anybody with Fox, either in a production or talent capacity, letting him do what he was going to do? So yeah, they're going to figure that out, but they haven't fired him yet, but he's never going to broadcast again. I mean, this is, it's unacceptable behavior. And I understand that he was decent at his job. And I believe it was Brady Quinn who filled in for him on the Colts and Raiders game last week or 2 weeks ago.
On 24 hours notice, less than 24 hours notice. He did the big noon kickoff. It just happened to be.
We figured out that although that he was pretty good at his job, there are about 35, 40 other dudes who are ready to go and ripping on a moment's notice, even though they had a gig the day before. So yeah, he is easily replaceable. And Double A, I understand you want some compassion with potential substance abuse problems out there, but he's a 38-year-old grown-ass man. He has been in the public eye for a very long time. He should know how to act. I understand you got demons, but it's, I'm not going to fault you for them, but I am going to expect you to learn how to deal with them. And
no.
Sanchez did not deal with them well.
No, and for our audience, I was, we're referencing kind of some of our pre-show discussion over the last couple of weeks. And again, the legal process will do whatever they do. And there are legal loopholes and everything like that. But yeah, his job's done. And, I'll say this. John Gruden was a bigger name in broadcasting.
Yeah.
And he lost out on Monday Night Football for, different reasons, but he lost out on Monday Night Football. So if he could lose his job on air, same can happen to Mark Sanchez, and for much, much, much more serious
I was going to say, Gruden didn't put anybody in the hospital, and Gruden wasn't looking at jail time. Mark Sanchez, one of these charges attached to it now is a lower level felony that's, I think in Indiana, punishable by, I think it's 3 to 6 years in prison. So
yeah, I think even Barstool wouldn't bring him in.
Yeah, at that rate, yeah, we're going to have a tough time. But Moon, do you have anything to add on this particular situation before we move on to far more important things?
It's sad, it's sad. Like, not Mark Sanchez, like you said, Rob, he is a grown man. You got to deal with the consequences that, your actions, lead to. But I just, as a compassionate person too, I feel for whatever he's dealing with internally. And I'm sending the truck driver, that's dealing with obviously the physical and mental damages himself, sending him a bunch of blessings, keeping him in my prayers. I'm keeping Mark Sanchez in my prayers too, because he's obviously going with do something we don't know, and he's going to do the time or whatever the course decides, whatever. But it's just sad. It's just sad. I hate hearing stuff like this, Rob. You have anything positive to tell us?
Well, coincidentally, I was not going to move on. We can change the order of stories here real quick. I was going to talk about some of the tumultuous football being played in the ACC, but we can move on to a little bit more of a brighter note, even though it is a conclusion of sorts. This is a Moon topic. I'm just going to say this straight out. It's going to make Double A and it's going to make Eli very, very happy.
I got you, Double A.
We had WWE Crown Jewel take place this weekend, which, by the way, I got a problem with. I didn't see a second of it. However, Saturday morning, I get up about 6 o'clock in the morning, grab my morning coffee, grab my morning checking of the temperature.
What the hell? What are you doing up at 6? You were up at 6?
I'm up at 6.
Why?
What's wrong?
That's early.
I was up. I was up at 6. Hey.
On a Saturday? What were you doing?
Yeah. I was trying to watch SportsCenter. And
do you put creamer? Do Do you
What's
put
up?
creamer in your coffee? You put creamer in your coffee? Like, how do you make your
Sure.
coffee?
Cream and sugar.
All right.
Yes.
Okay.
And
I just do creamer.
I got on the ESPN app, and I saw no Sports Center little button. I did see though Crown Jewel. And I was like, oh, okay, they got the replay on or it's upcoming, and they're like broadcasting live. Who the hell watches a WWE pay-per-view at 6 o'clock in the morning? Keep in mind that both you assholes just questioned my sanity for being up at 6 a.m. in the first place.
On a Saturday, yes.
On a
Why are
Saturday.
they that is like a plate of steamed broccoli and chicken put down in front of me at 6 a.m. in the morning. I don't want to deal with it. Wrestling is nighttime activity. It's not morning activity. I understand also, too, they're trying to get the whole globe. They have picked up every wrestling fan in this country and turned them upside down and shook them and waited for all the change to fall out. All that change is gone. They're now looking for euros over in England or pounds over in England. They're looking for whatever dollar in Australia, whatever the hell it is. And that's going to affect things. But Jesus Christ, 6 a.m. for a wrestling pay-per-view?
I want to remind our fans that Monday Night Raw will be on in about 8 hours from now, 8 a.m.
Are you fucking kidding me?
No, he's serious.
He's serious. They're in Australia.
First, you have a pay-per-view named Crown Jewel that I thought originated over with the oil blood money in Saudi Arabia, but hell, we're just going to move this thing to Australia for no reason. So we have the Saudi Arabian named pay-per-view in Australia, followed by Monday Night Raw happening at like 8 o'clock in the morning. What the fuck are we doing?
Well, I mean, here's the thing, Rob. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. AA, I would have if this was still on Peacock, I would have been one of those guys up at 8 in the morning watching this pay-per-view. But because they're on ESPN, $30 a month, I just read as much as I could of the highlights. I did think it was really, really cool to see that John Cena and AJ Styles did this big spot fest and paid a bunch of tributes. Makes me think, like, are we getting Chris Jericho against John Cena? Are we getting Edge? And AA, there's only 4 appearances left.
That's
John
right.
Cena.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can't fit too many people. 4 appearances unless you're having them wrestle 2 times a night. We're not getting many people left. I'm curious because I'm glad they did Styles, but they have Miz. They have the rumors of Edge, even though Triple H shut it down so fast during the post-show presser. And then you have Chris Jericho. So I just wonder, like, are we getting any of those guys?
I'll laugh my ass off if it's the Miz. I will laugh my ass off.
He's been protesting about it, that he's not getting his chance, and he said he had a great ride.
That is true.
The Miz has also, they total the numbers up. He has lost, and whatever this means, has lost more matches than anybody in the WWE in 15 years. So
Yeah,
he would
that is
basically be wrapping up Hulk Hogan with the Brooklyn Brawler in this case.
I would have an out. This is bad as host of the Side Hustle podcast, Kyle Cornell, for me to say what I'm about to say. I would have analysis for you for Crown Jewel. I ain't got $30 in my budget to pay ESPN directly. Until they get that address, I ain't watching nothing from ESPN. It's just not going to happen. I already have ESPN in my cable lineup, so I will not be donating more money to ESPN.
Check into it because what we took advantage of over here at Casa Mentor was because of Jimmy Kimmel, and thank you, Jimmy, by the way. All of that kerfuffle with him getting taken off the air and brought back on, all the Disney subscriptions plummeted or whatever. They looked at us and said, not just us. I mean, it was a blanket offer, but we were paying like $30 for Hulu, Disney, and HBO bundle. And what we're doing now is paying the same money for that bundle and ESPN. So we basically just got it for free for about. So check into any sort of Hulu, whatever bundle because Disney's right now saying, "I'm sorry."
See,
and, you know what? And they found its price.
See, I understand that, but I already don't have Hulu, and I don't have Disney. Well, I had Disney Plus, and then things happen over the summer, so I don't have Disney Plus anymore.
I get you.
Yeah. So, YouTube TV and ESPN, they don't have an agreement with ESPN to get the unlimited package. Long story short, I didn't wake up 8 o'clock in the morning to see this show.
Well, and I think that's kind of the whole thing with the Cena finale is that they've had all the network changes. Netflix over to ESPN, Peacock was here and now it's not. All this stuff, and I think that's one of the reasons why this whole Cena finale tour has been completely muddled from the very start.
They made a mistake. Reflecting back, they made a ton of mistakes. I think one of them now was announcing the number of dates. I think reflecting back, if they didn't announce the number of dates and they just, this is the final year, we're going to rock and roll, do whatever, because I think now you're very restricted on the type of stories you were able to deliver. And I mean, again, The Rock and Travis Scott failing to deliver at WrestleMania really took a stain on the Cena run. And again, you're going to get great matches. Cena Styles, from everything I read, everything that Elias read, it was great. But how many people saw it? How many people watched? And ultimately, how many people are priced out? NXT, real quick. NXT was in town on Saturday.
Yeah.
They competed against a local promotion, which we promote on Side Hustle, Exodus Pro Wrestling, with our guy Mike Faber from State Farm. And he did a killer Howard Stern Halloween thing. Exodus, affordable, packed house, family show, didn't lose a single person with NXT being in town. NXT is the cheapest ticket was over $50 at the Agora.
Right. And that,
Eli, when we went, how much did it cost to go to NXT?
I think we paid 20, 25 is pushing it.
That sounds like a $30 show. Yeah.
We paid, me and Double A had such a time of our lives. I mean, I remember paying like $25 for these tickets, like pit tickets, because I thought they were selling them. You could either have the balcony or the pit. That was like it. A ringside, I guess. But whatever. We did the pit, and we got in there. We chilled. It was great seats. Got like right up near the action. You seen like stars like Tommaso Ciampa, Johnny Gargano. I mean, we saw like all the stars. And yeah, to Double A's point, there's so much independent pro wrestling and the NWA obviously doing their thing with Exodus Pro Wrestling and like all the territories they have. There's so much wrestling in general that WWE is going to find out real soon. And it's not WWE. Let me be very clear. It's TKO. They're going to find out very soon that WWE and pro wrestling as a sport, as entertainment, whatever, is built off of these families that maybe didn't have the money to go watch the Yankees play, but they could afford a WWE ticket at Madison Square Garden, and that's the only thing they could go see. So that's where I'm at. I think once they start feeling that effect, and it's a shame that AEW isn't taking advantage of it. They're a whole mess in themselves. But I think you'll start seeing the rise of independent pro wrestling again, because you saw it when WWE was such a bad product, especially when I started getting back into it in 2015 to 2018 range. I'd go to so many shows in Cleveland because there was all the stars were wrestling on that. I think we're going to start seeing that again.
Well, I think you said it right, too, when you talked about how AEW hasn't really come through in this whole thing. And that's the big reason, Vince Vince and now TKO have been great at making the right moves, but they've also taken advantage of their competition being stupid. If it was the inmates running the asylum at WCW, even Jim Crockett, they did their best, but they weren't exactly as organized as Vince was. And now moving TNA into the new stuff, there hasn't been a worthy successor or a worthy challenger to Vince in a long, long time. And because of that, they have just kind of became the Kleenex of wrestling, the Q-tip. It's, I'm sure when when AA is going to those Exodus Pro shows, there's probably a third of the people that when they're driving there, they're telling their buddy, yeah, I'm going to a WWE thing, because it's just WWE and wrestling are the same thing. And they're taking advantage of that. And I think you guys are right, where sooner than later, there's going to be a product that's going to be worth going to be a little bit better value. And the WWE itself is, I don't know, been kind of stale and kind of manufactured. And now with the WrestleMania over in Saudi Arabia, they're alienating more and more fans. And I don't know. And once the Cena thing does, and AA, the only thing that this whole, announced set of dates and announced schedule to this whole thing, the only way that works is if Cena has his match against Gunther. I think that's the rumor right now. That
I think so. Yeah.
Gunther puts him over. He puts Gunther over. Okay, Gunther's the next big thing. They're doing the whole retirement, shaking the hands around thing, and all of a sudden you see Adam Copeland come out of nowhere and spear his ass and put him in a concerto. And guess what? We might have told you there was 4 days left, but there's really 5. That's about the only way that could happen, or some other old rival, and would have to be Edge.
It better, it better not be Adam Copeland. It better not be Adam Copeland.
But there's nobody left. I mean, I'm just saying that they've already used Brock. They've already used Randy. They've already used like all the big surprises they would have raring to go for something like that. And then at that point, okay, you have your Royal Rumble, one that you actually soup up for 3 months and actually get going. That'd be about the only way. But yeah, WWE, I think, is in a very precarious situation. The other thing too, and I want to move away from wrestling here in a couple of seconds. I think I mentioned this last show, Nielsen, the ratings people.
Mm-hmm.
They announced a new system of calculating numbers that is far more accurate. They were relying on like old school diary systems and very archaic things of doing it. Now it's more digital. Now they're counting stuff a lot better. Most of the TV guys are saying that one thing that will be affected big time, not just WWE, but AEW too, the ratings are going to go down. And I think there was a lot of false high ratings for both of these companies at times. And I want to see what happens when all of a sudden they realize that maybe they're only getting, WWE's only getting 900,000 people in the demo every Monday night. That might change the amount of money that's coming in and the desire to have that product in Saudi Arabia or in London, England, or on Netflix for that matter. So we'll see.
My last point real quick. AEW already kind of found this out. WWE is actually heading down the same path. If you oversell on the type of market you're in, you won't land these shows in the future. And it's not just, the big shows or anything like that, but hitting those like sellouts, like they're not doing sellouts anymore. You haven't heard a thing about sellouts in a long time, but hitting the record gates eventually. TKO is going to price this thing out. I think they are now. And 26, 27, 28, the product's going to suffer. And creatively, real quick, they're not doing the things that they need to do to make new stars on a consistent basis. And I think ultimately that is a huge, huge problem, even though they got the guys who could do it.
Yeah, no, I agree, AA. And that's the thing. Meanwhile, we lost Rozycki. We lost him, but he's coming back. And that's the thing too, is like, speaking of people coming back, they got Dragunov coming back. They could have had Tyler Bate coming back, but he's too busy wearing a mask and running around doing part of the El Grande Americano stuff.
Yeah.
I think they fumbled the opportunity to make stars. Like Tyler Bate was like 20 years old, 19 years old when he like joined WWE. He's still like my age, but like, it's like, dude, what are we doing fumbling the bag on him? Pete Dunne. Dragunov's hurt, but will they capitalize? Gunther's had pivotal losses that, like, every time he's got that momentum, it's like, come on, man.
No,
I mean, they just haven't done it. They are relying on John Cena's retirement tour. They are relying on the spectacles, But the spectacle is only a spectacle when you got the people that we are invested in. The reason everybody's invested in Cody is because he came back and we invested in the story. And Roman had already built a 2-3 year long story at that point.
That is true. Eli, take this solo for like 30 seconds. I'm going to text Rob off cam here.
Yes, absolutely. Well, hey, everybody at the main event and to everybody tuning in, thank you so much right now. I am Eli Moon here, part of the main event with AA Anthony Alford and Rob Rozycki. I'd like to take this time here for a moment to say if you'd like to be a sponsor of our fine podcast and have your sponsor showing during the breaks, well, shout you out, give you a lot of love. Hit up the Inside Edge Network. You see us here. Follow us on Twitter, IG, YouTube, and Facebook. That's at Inside Edge Net. And we will take care of you. Obviously from a range of podcasts. Us here at the main event, talking sports, Real Talk with Papa Moon, talk about life and everything that way. And then you got obviously a ton of different podcasts. We got the Jersey Chasers, the girls talking there. We got the Browns, fantasy football, all that jazz. So remember, the Inside Edge Network, we're the place to be to get your information. Thanks for tuning in with us. It is 12:03 in the morning. We have like one more topic to discuss. I believe Rob has in his newspaper or whatever he's reading. And then we're going to get into some stuff about the weekend, what we had learned. So again, I'm Eli Moon. That to the right of me, joining me in just a second, is AA.
Yeah, I'm back in.
AA Anthony Alford, but I don't know how to do. I'm trying to do it. All right, but he's back. He's back. And yeah, AA. I was just telling the people, thanks for tuning in. It is 12:04 here in the morning.
Yeah,
and
I was gonna say I would not mind because I think Rob's out. His internet is crapped out. So I think we can. I think we can do real quick. I'll just mention I learned real quick. I learned this weekend. Man, I know we talked earlier about James Franklin and college football. We've been trying to save college football, like what's going on. This is the first weekend I've really realized my heart is not into college football, really at all. And I'll say this. I love the pregame shows. I love like Game Day and Big Noon Kickoff, things like that. But I'm watching Ohio State, and I love Ohio State. I knew they were going to win, and like my heart wasn't really in it. And then there was a top 10 matchup with Indiana, Oregon, and I'm like, I don't really care to watch this. And I shouldn't feel that way as a sports fan, but if part of this for me, real quick, Eli, is like for the time I was in a relationship, you could pick either Saturday or Sunday. You can't have both. You just can't. Can't have both. And we were always locked in on Sundays. And I've always been locked in on Sundays my whole life since I got into sports. But Saturdays with college football, there are different times when like the big games are on. There are different times in terms of, are the games really big? And, college football is going one way, but it really hasn't leaned all the way like we talked about, or vice versa. I'm like, man, my heart, I love football. I obviously love high school football. My heart is just not into college football. It really isn't. And it's sad for me to say. And it's like, do I wait for the playoff? But no. The bowl, I don't know. And I feel they really got to figure some things out very quickly with college football, Eli.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. And I've been feeling the same way pretty much with college football. Yeah, it just doesn't have the same feel. What I would say, and I think AA, I think I'm getting a little bit of an echo here, so I'm gonna go ahead and fix it here on my end. We're live, people. We're live. But what I would say about what I learned this weekend is ultimately that Halloween's a few weeks away, AA. Okay? And with Halloween comes costumes. I'd be remiss if I didn't say, as you probably have found out, those of you watching at home, are you watching and know me already, that I make music. I am a music artist. I also book shows here in Cleveland. AA, I don't know where you'll be on Halloween night, but I sure hope it's with me at Brothers Lounge because I'm doing a costume contest. We're having hip hop rap artists on stage all night. My guy Cliche headlining. It's going to be crazy, Double A. You've seen some of this talent I put together at these shows. We're doing a costume contest. I don't want to say who I am going to be. I think you just got to be there to see it, but it's going to be crazy. It's going to be crazy. And I guess like that's what I learned this weekend is that Halloween is fast approaching. The fall leaves are falling to the ground. The leaves are changing colors and everything's getting colder. And I'm going to have to get investing in some sweaters here soon. But man, oh man, is it a great time to know that it's Halloween. It's my mom's favorite holiday. It's a great time to just get together with people, and it's my nephew's favorite holiday. I can already tell. He's not even 3 yet, and he's already telling Uncle E about the pumpkins and the ghosts and the spiders and the skeletons. And Halloween's here, Double A. And you know what? The Browns will have 2 wins before Halloween.
It is spooky season. Spooky season's here. Best movies, best everything. Halloween is fantastic. Eli, I think you're the only one on this show who was here from start to finish.
Yeah.
Rob's reason is more reasonable than my reason. Technology failed him. Other
Society failed you.
All right, buddy, close the show. We're done.
All right, I gotcha. So for everybody tuning in, there's 27 live across X or Twitter, whatever you want to call it, on the Inside Edge Network and on the Inside Edge Network YouTube. And you're tuning in on my guy Double A's Facebook until we get the rights to go live on the Inside Edge Network Facebook soon.
3 more weeks or 2 more weeks. 2 more weeks.
2 more weeks. We want to thank you for tuning in and sticking with us here into your early Monday morning. For my guy, Rob Rozycki, who is fighting the internet right now as we speak to get back to you next Sunday. We miss you. We'll see you next Sunday. To my guy, Double A Anthony Alford, who missed the first segment, but we just call him fashionably late because he comes in with all the great news after the fact. The guy who's gelled all this together, brought us back together as main event. Thank you. And I'm Eli Moon. Papa Moon is currently sleeping. So I'm going to keep it down and tell everybody, have a very good night. And until next time, stay blessed, don't stress. And the main event, number 1.